Hello, every pony. Chapter 9: The Crystal War. Author's note. Just a reminder, unicorn magic usually looks like their eyes. I bring this up because I have Dusk use magic in this chapter, and her eyes are black. Just to clarify, she is not using black magic, aka evil magic. By Foxgear. A bat pony? A bat pony was working for Sombra? How could this be happening? How could her child betray her? Luna wonders, frantically looking from the arena to Sombra, the stallion's smirk widening as she glares. What magic have you cast upon him? Luna demands sternly. Unimpressed with her rage, Sombra simply inspects his hoof. Whatever do you mean? I need no magic to gain a pony's loyalty. Of course, some food, water, and the promise of shelter, any job, do go a long way. I'm amazed that you, Princess Luna, left your so-called children to fend for themselves in the harsh caverns of the Everfree, which I may remind you runs all the way up to Meridor. Luna seeth through her teeth. She wanted to yell so loud that it would leave the black stallion permanently deaf forever. Yet, as his hurtful yet true words stung deep in her heart, she knew it was her fault. Her bat ponies have gone to Sombra's embrace. In her misery, she abandoned them. When she finally came to her senses and informed Night Patrol, it should have come to no surprise that the caverns were empty when she went to recruit them to her cause. Please be safe, my ponies, she softly prays. Both of you return to me alive, please. Fury circles his opponent, Blood Moon, matching him step for step. He didn't know a lot about bat ponies, other than what Luna had told him and the others. They seemed no different from Pegasus, except better built for night flying, with night vision and better agility in tight flying spaces. Both advantages were useless in the wide open arena and broad daylight. Yet looking at himself, a dragon pony, Fury wonders if there were other tricks gifted to bat ponies. Trusting in his scaly coat, Fury lurches forward, charging Blood Moon head on. He side trots and charges from the right. Digging his left claw into the earth, Fury swung himself, skidding behind Blood Moon with his jaws wide open to clamp on the bat pony's wing, wanting to bite air as Blood Moon took flight. He snorts angrily, flying up after him. Up above, Blood Moon stalls in midair, preparing to attack. Fury chest expanded as he prepares to counter. Once the bat pony turns around, it would all be over. Blood Moon turns as expected, but something was amiss. His chest was also bulging. Is he like me? Is he a dragon pony pretending to be a bat pony? Not taking any chances, Fury fires first, unleashing a wave of searing flames. The ponies below screams in horror, but he paid little mind to them. He didn't care if they thought him a monster. They would be right. He was one. A sudden ringing sound appeared in Fury's ears. He blinks away tears as his body reacted to the sound. He deeps a little, losing altitude. The flames above him burst apart, extinguishing in the air without his magic to feed them. He spots Blood Moon flying through the flames, and he appears to be screaming. Fury saw a small distortion in the air. The ringing worsened, the sound driving him mad as he tries in vain to scratch at his ears. Some sort of sonic attack, Fury hissed, his mind going fuzzy. It was getting harder to think. He had to do something, and quick. There was no way he could take another blast and stay conscious. Spotting Blood Moon coming around for another pass, Fury knew his time was short. If fire didn't work, then Blood Moon yells, "Prepare yourself, you freak!" Readying for his sonic scream. Another blast would put the dragon pony down for good. Exhaling, Blood Moon releases a high-pitched scream so powerful that it created shockwaves. There was no way that the dragon pony could defend himself. Blood Moon smirks as he watched the sonic waves fly towards Fury, who was gathering up another fire blast. Not that it would do much good. Fury releases his breath. Instead of fire, a loud, eardrum-shattering roar came out, the roar canceling out his sonic scream. What? Blood Moon gasped, surprised that his attack had been countered. In his moment of shock, Fury flew up close and slashed his barrel. He dodges, barely avoiding injury, but the same could not be said for his armor, which was ripped to shreds by the dragon pony's claws. Fury smirks victoriously. "Having fun yet, Bat? More than you know." Fury flexes his claws. "Good to hear." The two charge one another, hoof against claw, as they attack with unrelenting fury. Blood Moon's hooves smack against Fury's armor, denting it and pushing the skin beneath, bones cracking from the force, while Fury's claws ran deep into Blood Moon's ripping armor and leaving long red gashes all over the Bat Pony's body. Blood ran down from the sky. From below, Luna watches in horror. "Please stop. Please, my children, stop," she whispers, tears falling down her cheeks. Beside her, Sombra laughs as she decides she had enough. Magic filling her lungs, Luna unleashes her Canterlot's voice. "Stop! Stop this right now!" The crowd stills at her words, but the fighting continues. "I said stop!" Luna yells again at the two, but they kept going. Too far gone in blood, lust to hear her. Spreading her wings, Luna took to the sky, flying fast as her wings could take her. In a mere blink, she was between Fury and Blood Moon, pushing them away from her with her hooves. Both Fury's pupils were tiny slits, their eyes screaming with rage and the desire to kill. "Enough! It's time to stop," Luna said, her tone soothing with a hint of magic mixed in to calm the two. Slowly their eyes began to widen to their original size. "It's over. The battle is done." "Actually, it's just begun, Luna." Sombra laughs frantically, and then it turns, gasping at the sight of Sombra flying right behind her with the aid of two tentacle wings. "What are you?" "Your conqueror," he said confidently. A flash of red magic shoots from his horn into the sky. From the clouds, black figures emerge, and from the north, more emerge from the ground. All around the Empire, explosions erupt, turning buildings into fireballs, and then all hell broke loose as the soldiers of Mordor attacked. "I wonder what's going on out there." Courage, the medical pony watching over Nightingale, asked her partner Splint as she looks over the Pegasus' vitals. They had forced Applejack outside so they could do their work, the Earth Mare protesting, relaying her orders from Princess Luna, but Courage assured her Nightingale would be safe and walked her out of the room. After all, who would be bold enough to attack in the heart of the Crystal Empire? "Splint, can you please stop staring out the window and help me?" she asked, writing down Nightingale's vitals. The clopping of hoofs echoing behind her as she worked. "Thank you." A sharp pain erupted in Courage's flank as a hoof covers her mouth, muffling her screams. Through panic eyes, she saw that Splint was her attacker. He made soft cooing sounds as he laid her on the floor in a pile of blood that had formed from her wound. Tears fell freely down her face as the last of her life drains away, darkness engulfing her vision. "Splint, why?" were her final words as Splint removes his hoof, her mouth. A burst of green flame engulfed Splint, revealing his true form as a changeling. Expressionlessly, he looked at the mare that had been his meal for the past several months. He had played the role of her friend/lover well and enjoyed it. But alas, the day has come to end the farce. The day of reckoning was at hand. The day when the changelings would have their own land, their own kingdom. In the face of such things, what was the life of one mare? Speaking of mares, there was the Pegasus on the bed he had to deal with and her friend outside. Such were things, he guessed, picking up a spare pillow to smother the sleeping Pegasus. He was about to do the deed when her eyes snapped open. Quickly, he pressed the pillow hard against her face. She struggles, her hooves flying around wildly, occasionally smacking his face, but he held on. Splint readjusted his footing for better leverage, and in an iconic twist of fate, slipped on Courage's blood. Nightingale threw the pillow off her face and screams at the top of her lungs, "Applejack!" Applejack came barreling through the door, taking only a second to look at the situation. The blood on the floor, the dead nurse, her friend gasping for breath, and the black bug thing with blood on its horn and a pillow in its hooves. Magic gathering around the Earth Mare's hooves as pure rage floods through her body. "You no good vermin!" Charging towards Applejack, tackles the changeling and straddling his torso and began pounding the life out of him with her bare hooves. The changeling's face was a bloody mess by the time she was done, his head rolling to the side, his eyes meeting Courage's. Slowly, he reaches out for her. He would feel the pony's weight shift on his body, meaning she was getting ready to attack again. Her hoof came down, crushing his foreleg just as it touches Courage's. He hisses in pain, but did not let go. I'm sorry, Courage, he whispers, taking his last breath. Applejack got to her hooves, rushing to Nightingale's bedside as Pegasus tries to get up. Carefully, the orange mare lowers her friend to her hooves, Nightingale leaning heavily against Applejack's side as she caught her breath. You okay, Knight? Yeah, I'm fine. Bloody changeling Mary got me, though. AJ pokes Glenn's body with her hoof. Is that what this thing is? Ugh, ugly little thing. Nightingale laughs. Yeah, it is. Suddenly her mind caught up with her, and as flashes of her fight in the clouds came to the forefront of her mind. There's more in the clouds, Applejack. These things are shapeshifters, and there's a ton of them. Explosions rocked the building. Both mares quickly look out the window, seeing the city in chaos as changelings dive-bombed from the sky, with hordes of bats and bat ponies and ponies covered in black armor storming the northern wall. Bearing Sombra's banner. Well, looks like they're not in the clouds no more, Applejack draws, keeping a cool composure. Come on, we need to get to Princess Luna. Be careful of any pony too. No telling who's the enemy and who's friend. With these things around. Nightingale nods. Right, let's go. The two mares made their way down the arena, the hallways as quickly as possible with Nightingale's injuries. Thankfully, they didn't run into any pony as they entered the dugout for the fighters. Sticking to the shadows, they peered out into the arena. If they thought outside the arena looked bad, inside was worse. So much worse. Ponies were lying dead all over as the few guards fought against the changelings. In the sky, they spotted Fierce Fury going berserk as he savagely mangled any changeling in his path. His feathery scale coat shimmering with blood, both his and his enemies. Even more impressive, though, was the fight going on between Sombra and Princess Luna. Sombra, with a pair of skeletal wings, was matching Luna blow for blow, as both rulers launched powerful spells that no normal pony could hope to match. Beams of magic collided, causing explosions that pushed the other two away from each other. Two changelings flew in from the right, blindsiding Luna. Sombra pressed the advantage, but Fury breathed a wall of fire in his path. Luna hit the ground in front of them. Applejack quickly rushed out and booked the two changelings off her princess. Princess, you okay? She yelled over the roar of the battle. Luna shook her head as she gathered herself. Applejack! Luna dismally replied as she regained her breathing. By Mother's mane, Applejack. You're alright. Is Nightingale safe? Applejack nodded. She's fine. A little bruised, but fine. What are your orders, Princess? What can we do to help? Luna surveyed the situation. A haunted realization dawned upon her as she remembered the youngest member of their party, Pine Mother's name, Dusk. We've forgotten about Dusk. Applejack, you and Nightingale must quickly secure Dusk's safety and any pony else you can along the way. Then find Symphony and clear a path for her so she can activate the Crystal Heart. Hurry, or the Empire will be lost. Aye, aye, Princess, Applejack saluted. You can trust us to get it done. And nodded with a soft smile. I know I can, she said, taking to the sky again. Applejack rushed to Nightingale, explaining their orders. The Pegasus nodded and followed after her comrade, pausing only briefly to stare to the south towards home. The skies were clear, but how would they remain that way? Dusk followed King Trouble down the hall of the palace, with her head bowed to the floor. Earlier she'd been enjoying the festival with her own usual twist to spice things up, and to make a long story short, had gotten in trouble. Enough trouble that the vendors reported her to the royal guards, who then reported her to the king, since she was a royal guest. Turns out making pie explode went a little too far. Now she is to face punishment. She had to watch over the king's daughter, Canenza. Not a horrible punishment by any means, but taking care of a newborn foal was only fun a quarter of the time. She should know. She's foaled sat plenty of the Apple Clan's newborns. They had a lot. They bred like rabbits. Timidly, Dusk said, So how long will I have to watch over Canenza? King Trouble paused to stroke his beard outside the said princess's door and joined Dusk's squirming. Till Luna or one of her guards return, I suppose. Any ponies guess when that will be? He chuckled as Dusk's face fell to near despair. Of course he wouldn't leave the filly with his dear foal for such a long time. But it was fun to pull the filly's legs a little bit. He deserved a good jest after having her blowing up pies, dunking apples to stone, and just causing general mayhem. She acted just like Luna did during her and Celestia's little pranking war. He remembered that particular event well. It was how he met Symphony after all, and it remained a wonderful and embarrassing memory as he was sent flying into the air covered in honey, landing at Symphony's feet after walking into Luna's prank set for Celestia. Here we are, he announced, opening the door to Canenza's room. His trip down memory lane over for now. The room looked exactly as he left it. Taller toys were placed perfectly in the proper place. A small castle playset located in the corner, guarded by numerous stuffed animals. And finally, Canenza's crib with the princess's formal foal sitter, an elderly crystal unicorn named a proper upbringing, keeping watch over her as usual. Trouble smiled at the elderly mare as they approached. Hello, proper upbringing. Nice to see you doing well today. The mare smiled softly back with a slight nod, scooting to the side to allow Trouble and Dusk closer access to the sleeping princess. He smiled gently, brushing Canenza's mane. I'm pleased to tell you we'll be free to enjoy the festival for the rest of the day. This little filly will full sit Cananza for the remainder of the day. Proper Upbringing didn't respond. Her attention directed at the bright red light hovering over the arena. Her eyes flashes green for a moment as she turns and began walking towards Trouble in dusk. Proper? Trouble inquired, expecting some retort from the mare saying she didn't need a day off. He turned just in time as Proper Upbringing aimed her horn for his heart. Acting on his old guard training, Trouble smacked her away with his hoof, sending Proper Upbringing crashing into the castle playset. What is the meaning of this? He demanded, snorting angrily. A burst of green flame engulfed the playhouse as Proper Upbringing revealed her true self, unleashing a high-pitched battle cry that Trouble knew all too well. Looking at his slumbering daughter and then to dusk, Trouble knew he had little time. He wrapped Cananza in his magic, blanket and all, and quickly tied little Philly to Dusk's back. Run now, he ordered, gracing between the tall glass windows and the changeling in the playhouse. You could make out the bug-like forms and more changelings answering their comrade's call. Dusk hesitated, looking between the door and Trouble. I said go! Find Princess Luna. Trust nobody until they've proven they are who they are. Now go! Keep my daughter safe! Dusk took off running just as the other changelings broke through the window glass. Trouble locked the door behind her, making all the changelings direct their attention to him. Well, come on then, let's have at it, he challenged, lighting up his horn with magic. The changelings hissed and charged all at once. Trouble gritted his teeth, releasing an angry battle cry as he charged to meet them. Dusk ran as fast as her little hooves could carry her. She didn't know where she was going or where she could find Luna, Applejack, or any of the others, so she kept running, even as hell broke out around her. Changelings and crystal guards were brawling in the halls, busting down doors, breaking through walls, in efforts to kill one another. A guard fell in her path. She quickly leapt over a body as two changelings raced after her, only to be struck down by another guard. Turning a hard right, Dusk found herself in the throne room, which was completely filled with changelings. Oh, fuck. All the changelings turned their attention to the two fillies. Dusk cautiously took a step back towards the door, but it was slammed shut, leaving her trapped. She gulped, preparing the only attack spell she knew. Her horn lit up with a black light as she aimed at the changeling horde before her. They chuckled, laughing at her efforts as they moved in all at once. Ah! Screaming like a mad mare, Dusk fired her spell. The black light hit a changeling dead center. At first, nothing happened. The changeling appeared unharmed. As it blinked at her, touching its chest, then it happened. The changeling began coughing. Blood sprinkled onto the crystal floor. The changeling looked directly into her eyes, filled with fear, and then he simply fell over, dead. The changeling horde hissed with anger and charged towards Dusk with bloodlust. The filly tried to charge up another spell, but couldn't, as she was forced to dodge, escaping by sliding underneath another changeling. Her safety was only momentarily as she found herself trapped in a corner. Dusk closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable, but after a long agonizing minute, nothing happened. Opening her eyes, she was surprised and very grateful to see the towering figure of Princess Symphony. It was also the time she noticed a soft hum of music in the air. She looked for the source and quickly found it with the princess singing, and it wasn't any normal music. It was musical magic. From the looks of the changelings, she had all of them completely enthralled as they swayed back and forth to the melody. Then the music stopped, and Dusk wished she had kept her eyes closed. The changelings began to kill each other. Princess Symphony watched the slaughter with a monotone expression. She hated using her lovely music to commit such horrifying acts, but this time she felt nothing for her enemies. No pain, no sorrow. She didn't even see them as living beings. All she saw was Trouble lying on the floor in a pool of blood, 5 changelings laying around him dead, the 6 standing over him in victory. She made sure it was short-lived. Next she entered the halls, finding her slaughtered guards and servants, and more changelings. She made short work of them as well. Finally she made her way here to the throne room, where she had since the spell go off. She arrived to find not only her daughter, but Dusk as well. She was so happy to see some pony alive that she almost didn't notice the changelings in the room. She saw Dusk kill one of them, and the rest charged the little filly. That was when she acted. Beginning with the first keys of her song, she froze the changelings in their place, leaving them still as stone, except for their eyes. They followed her every step as she made her way to Dusk and Canenza. Canenza was still fast asleep, while Dusk had her eyes soon sewn shut, her body trembling with fear. She decided to leave them like that for the moment. They didn't need to see what she was about to do. Standing in front of the filly in full, Symphony began the second verse of her song, a low, mournful tune, filled with sadness and lost. The changelings responded. Each one turned their sharp horns on another of their kin. Now it was time for the coup de grace. Symphony adjusted her key, her voice rising like a wave, filled with rage and hate. The changelings' eyes narrowed. They growled at one another. She then released her spell, and the changelings plunged their horns into each other's throats. Symphony stared at the carnage, unblinking, a strange sort of numbness overtaking her usually compassionate heart. A startled gasp caught her attention. Dusk had opened her eyes and was staring directly at the carnage. Quickly she unfolded her wing and blocked the horrid sight from the filly's eyes, but the look in her eyes said she was too late. Gathering the two onto her back, Symphony flew out the window, descending slowly to the ground towards the base of the castle where the crystal heart was located. We must purge the invaders. Stay close to me and keep my daughter safe, Symphony said as they touched down. Immediately, more changelings attacked, but a quick kick sent them hurtling away. Galloping towards the pedestal that housed the crystal heart, Symphony charged her horn, preparing to spread her love and hope across the empire and repel the invaders. Dust cried, "Look out!" as two changelings charged from both sides. Symphony launched the fillies into the air so she could intercept the attackers. She easily tossed the two aside and caught the fillies on her rump again and began preparing her spell when, "Look out! Oh, bucket!" Starting Symphony dropped the two fillies near the pedestal, placing a magic shield over them as she faced the attackers. She expected more changelings, but was left staggering on her hooves as two sonic screams nearly busted her eardrums. Dizzyingly, she smacked the bat ponies aside, preparing to face the third shadowy figure head-on as she charged with her horn pointed forward. This proved to be a mistake, as her horn began to entangle the jagged black mess of a horn that belonged to none other than the changeling queen herself, Krissa. "Hello, Symphony," Krissa greeted, grinning like cat. "Long time, hasn't it?" Symphony grunted as she pushed against Krissa's horn, trying to gain the upper hoof. "Not long enough, I'd say, as you're still as ugly as the last time I saw you." "And you're a potty mouth, little princess. But why hold a grudge? We are family, right?" "You're no family of mine," Symphony screamed, regaining her balance. Cessia chuckled. "Still mad at me? We should really learn when to let things go. Like this!" Unlocking her horn, Krissa watched with glee as Symphony stumbled forward without her to hold her back and wiped down her horn across the crystal princess's pretty pink flank, staining it red. "Dirty cheater," Symphony growled, stumbling on her hooves. Her right flank was bleeding badly, and it hurt to walk on it. How could she have made such a novice mistake? If I become rusty? I can't remember the last time I even sparred, let alone fight for my life. Now, Krissa taunted. "You're making me blush." She scoffed as she applied pressure to her injury with her wing. "Why are you here, Krissa? Why attack us? No matter how many of your children you brought with you, they are no match for the might of my crystal guards. Give up, and I'll let you go in peace." Krissa laughed, circling around the pink unicorn. "That would be true, if it wasn't for the fact I have been placing my spies through your kingdom for years, at every level of society, from common worker, the servant, the everyday citizen, and even the royal guard. We are everywhere, Symphony. Why do you think the castle was so easily run over? Why are the northern gates wide open as the ponies of Mirador rush your walls? No, Symphony, I would not be retreating. Not this time. Mirador. Sombra is with you? In more ways than one, Krissa said. Call it a political maneuver with many benefits. But our peace treaty was all a ruse suggested by me, all to ensure the downfall of the Crystal Empire. Symphony grit her teeth, focusing on the floating blue diamond heart on the pedestal. If she can only get to it, she can still save every pony. Screaming, she charged, forming both a spell on her horn and with her voice. She fired a magical beam of blue magic. Krissa countered with her own green magic once again, grid locking them. But she had an ace in her boots. Softly she began to sing a low key to put Krissa to sleep, so she could do the permanently with her own hose. Yet as the musical note floated towards the changeling queen, something happened. Another high-pitched bell blocked her spell, effectively neutralizing it, and there was only one creature that could do such a thing. Sirens! Symphony gasped, spotting the half-fish ponies flying around the castle. 3 in total. There was more in Mirador, the mere bats and shadow ponies. So much more. Krissa grinned as she pushed Symphony back. She could feel victory close at hoof. As soon as Symphony was dead, the crystal ponies' morale would be gone, and the Empire would be theirs. Krissa was so focused on defeating the crystal ponies' princess that she completely forgot about Dusk, who was staring at the crystal heart. Suddenly, she felt a huge spike of magic erupted behind her. Dusk couldn't stand to sit back any longer. She had to do something. Securing Princess' safety under the pedestal, Dusk stepped out in front of the crystal heart. Symphony said it could repel all the bad ponies. She just had to figure out how to use it. Maybe if I hit with my magic, it will work, Dusk thought. Dusk charges her horn and fires, creating a beam of black magic that began to spin the crystal heart faster and faster. A bright light began to shine from the core of the heart, so Dusk poured more magic into the heart, causing it to spin even faster and faster and faster. Suddenly Dusk's eyes widened as a white glow of magic enveloped her entire body. She began to float in the air as a small beam of magic changed into a big beam. The crystal heart reached its maximum velocity, and a huge dome of magic began to grow from it. "What's happening?" Krissa demanded as the magic dome pushed against her. She tried to fight it, but just pushed harder. She was pushed past Symphony, who was unaffected. So were all the other crystal ponies. Only the changelings and the ponies of Mirador were being pushed out. "No, no, no!" Krissa screamed as the dome pulsed and launched her and all the invading forces out of the city. Adjusting her wings, she managed to right herself, growling as she stared at the blue shield covering the Crystal Empire. Far off to the north was Sombra. Their eyes met, and they both nodded. "Attack! Bring down the shield!" Princess Symphony crawled along the ground, desperate to get to her daughter in Dusk. Her eyes focused on Cananza, the little foal crying out for her at the top of her lungs. She tried to move faster, but she had lost so much blood and could barely stand. Glancing at Dusk, she was shocked to see the little filly was maintaining the shield. She has that much power? That's impossible. No fool can have that much magic. Then she noticed something different about Dusk. She seemed taller. Suddenly Dusk's body pulsed and grew, looking somewhere in the age between fillyhood and marehood. She's using so much magic that she's aging. I must stop her, thought Symphony. Gritting her teeth, Symphony stumbled to her hooves and managed to sprint the remaining distance before collapsing beside Dusk. Gently, she took Canenza into her embrace and kissed her daughter lovingly on the forehead. I'm sorry, Canenza, but I have no choice. I love you. Reaching up, Stephanie touched Dusk's flank, connecting her to her magic. She felt a massive surge of power and quickly cast a spell and disappeared in a flash of white light just as Applejack and Nightingale arrived. Somewhere else. The Earth ponies, the stallion and the mare, were on their way home after a hard day's work when a bright flash of light shined ahead of them. They quickly hid in the nearby bush, fearful of what the light may be. Much to their surprise, a tall pink pony with wings and a horn stood on the road. Is that a princess? The mare whispered to the stallion. The stallion rubbed his beard stubble, looking closer at the horn and wings, as well as finery that adored the pony, crystal boots, a crown, that strange harness like the one Celestia wears. Seems to be, though I don't know of any ponies that looks like that. Perhaps she's a foreign ruler that got lost on her way to Camelot. Dear, I think she's hurt. Look at her leg. The mare pointed to the princess's back right leg, which was covered in blood. She gagged as she caught the sight of bones sticking out beneath the gore. We should help her. Right, it's the right thing to do, the stallion agreed, stepping out from the bush. Hello there, you look like you could use some help. Symphony's head swung up at the sound of the Earth Stallion's voice. Her vision was being a blur, and she could feel the spell fading quickly. She didn't have much time. Quickly she used her remaining magic to cast a spell on Canenza, so she wouldn't be pulled back with her. Please! She cried, holding her daughter up to the Earth Pony couple. Please, take care of my daughter. Raise her, protect her, and love her as your own. Please, as a promise to a dying mother. The stallion gently took the foal from her hooves. For a moment, her vision cleared as she saw the three of them standing together, as she and Trouble had on the day Canenza was born. Symphony smiled, at peace, knowing her daughter would grow up with parents. What's her name? The mare asked. Canenza, mi amore, Canenza. Cadence, for short. With that, Symphony left the spell wear off completely and disappeared in a flash of light, leaving her daughter in the hooves of two strangers. back in the Crystal Empire. What the hell's going on? Applejack shouted as she and Nightingale stumbled upon something strange. Dusk was floating in midair, her eyes white out. Princess Symphony disappeared and then reappeared, and Nightingale was staring off into the distance. Night, what's going on? It's open, the Pegasus whispered, making Applejack raise a brow as she tried to see what her friend was saying. What are you talking about? There's a hole in their formation, and they're all focusing on trying to bring down the shield. This is my chance. Your chance for what, Knight? Applejack asked as Nightingale began to stretch. A chance to get out of here and get the others. If we miss this, we might never get out of here alive. I'm going to need a lot of speed. Nightingale turned and looked Applejack straight in the eyes. Applejack, I need you to buck me. Applejack's mouth fell. I beg your pardon? Not like that! I mean, launch me with your booth things so I can get past the changelings. Why didn't you just say that? Applejack retorted, kicking up a boulder with a flat surface. Get on and hold on tight. It's going to be a rough ride, the Earth Mare said, getting into position. Her expression turned solemn as she looked at all the changelings outside the shield. Be careful, Knight. Nightingale smirked confidently. Don't worry. I'll come back with every pony and show those bugs what's for. You just stay alive till then. Nodding silently, Applejack began gathering her magic, while Nightingale adjusted her goggles. When she was sure they wouldn't move in flight, she waited. Applejack. On the count of 3. Knight, ready? Ready, Applejack. 1, 2, 3. With all her might, Applejack kicked the stone, causing it to fly like an arrow. She quickly turned around so she could watch Nightingale as she launched herself off the stone when it began to lose momentum. The white Pegasus broke through the shield, flying at top speed, and appeared to be unnoticed, until some changelings burst out of the snow. Applejack held her hat tightly as she watched Nightingale nearly dodge them. One looked like he got really close, but they were too far away to tell for sure. Soon enough, there were mere specks in the sky, and then nothing. Putting her hat back on, Applejack trotted over to Symphony and found the Crystal Princess dead, with a smile on her face. She gave a quick prayer for the departed and turned her attention to Dusk, who was still glowing and firing magic at the crystal heart. Now that she was close, Applejack finally noticed the changes to Dusk's body, mainly that she was almost as tall as her, and her mane now reached down to her flank. What in the hay? Tensely, Applejack reached for the filly, but quickly pulled her hoof back as a jolt of electricity zapped her hoof. Quickly putting 2 and 2 together, Applejack realized Dusk was powering the shield. How do I wake her up? Should I even wake her up? She's keeping all those bad ponies outside for now, but at this rate she'll be an old mare, Applejack thought. Applejack was at loss. Should she save Dusk or save the city and every pony in it? Closing her eyes, she searched deep inside herself for the answer, trusting her gut. and her gut told her to save Dusk. Sorry about this, Sugar Cube. Charging up her hoof, Applejack punched Dusk right in the face, knocking the filly out of her trance and bouncing across the ground. Applejack winced, realizing she may have overdone it. Thankfully, the crystal heart was still spinning and the shield was still there. For now. The sound of hooves touching down caught her attention. Applejack turned, coming face to face with a disheveled Luna and Fierce Fury, who was looking worse for wear and missing 2 of his talons on his left claw. Arriving with them was the remaining majesty of the Crystal Army, and there wasn't that many left. The Crystal Ponies were exhausted and battered. They'd been taken by surprise and fought hard against the invaders. When the shield had been thrown up, they rejoiced in their small victory. But now, they seemed to dull and lost their shine as they found their princess lying on the ground in her own blood. Princess Luna silently approached her cousin and closed Mare's eyes, noting the smile on her face. She choked back her tears as she faced the Crystal Ponies. They stared back at her and kneeled. One pony, the Vice Captain of the Guard, stood up and shouted, "Hail, Princess Luna!" His fellow guards soon joined in the chant, and it spread across the empire like a wildfire. The fiery spirit of the Crystal Ponies was reunited, and they clung to hope, to the light in their darkest hour. Ironically, it was the Princess of the Night that was that light. Luna raised her hoof for silence, and they promptly obeyed. "We haven't much time. The shield would only last for 2 days. We must prepare." "Yes, Princess!" They saluted, fanning out to look for survivors, supplies, and weapons. Once there, all gone, Luna approached Dusk, who was still unconscious. She barely noticed Applejack and Fury standing by her side as she stared at what happened to Dusk. Using the crystal heart, had aged the filly into a mare. That wasn't all it had done. Branded on the unicorn's flank was an 8 turned sideways, the symbol for infinity. "Where is Nightingale, Applejack?" she asked, deciding to address Dusk's change ladder when she was awake. Applejack pointed to the south, looking nervous. "She went to get help from home. She got spotted on her way out by some changelings. I don't know what's become of her." Then a solemn stare to the south. "We must prepare. We have little time," she said, picking up Dusk and carrying her to the castle. "Well, what about Night?" Luna sighed, suppressing her emotion. "I have faith in her ability, but we cannot wait for help that may not be coming. Do you understand, Commander Applejack?" Applejack lowered her head over her eyes. "I understand, Princess." "Good. You know what needs to be done. Fury, go find any Pegasus that can still fly and get them combat ready. We'll need them when the shield goes down. Applejack, coordinate with the remaining soldiers. We need to fortify the castle. We will need to hold out till the crystal heart is ready to be used again. Understood?" Applejack and Fury saluted. "Understood!" Luna watched them leave before entering the castle, taking a final glance at the crystal heart before closing the door. In the Arctic, Nightingale shivered violently as she dug herself out of the snow. Around her were the 5 changelings that chased after her. All dead, but they left their mark. She glanced angry at her damaged wing, trying to move it, only to grimace in pain. No way was she flying out of here. Stumbling through the snow, she continued her way back to Equestria, hoping she didn't die before she got there. "I'm gonna make it home. I'm gonna make it home," she chanted as she walked into the blizzard. I think the castle was so easily overrun